And we had an idea of the problem we wanted to solve, which was to increase Bitcoin adoption in New Zealand, but we weren't quite sure how to go about it, which is a lot of what Breez solves for. So that's why we love you guys so much. It's a developer's dream to work with.
Hello and welcome to Shoot the Breez, where we're talking to the builders in Bitcoin. Today we have Rob, the CTO of Lightning Pay, and he's here to talk about his journey building in Bitcoin. Rob, lovely to have you on the podcast. Rob, if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Lightning Pay.
Awesome. Stoked to be here. Thanks for having me on. Lightning Pay. So back in the day, back in New Zealand, me and a few Bitcoin friends, we were shooting the breeze and deciding there wasn't a lot happening in Bitcoin in New Zealand. And we decided the way to fix that would be to build it ourselves. So me and my two co-founders, Brandon and Simon, we got together and we decided to build. First of all, we were aiming to build to increase the adoption of Bitcoin by enabling merchants to accept it. And that's where we set off. And then we quickly realized what we needed was an exchange mechanism, because that didn't exist in New Zealand either. So we realized we had to build that first. So we built that, and that proved to be hugely popular. And so we have a couple of tangents at Lightning Pay. One of them is to continue the exchange. And I say exchange, but technically it's a brokerage because we're a self-custodial exchange. We take dollars from people's bank accounts with their instruction and convert them to Bitcoin in around 10 seconds using open banking. And that enables us to do that in a self-custodial manner. So we only briefly hold the funds while we perform the transaction, and then they get the funds directly to their nominated wallet. And that's the main thing that we do at Lightning Pay. But we also facilitate merchant payments. So we enable merchants to accept Bitcoin at point of sale, and we'll convert the full amount or any sub amount to New Zealand dollars and deposit it in the merchant's bank account by the next business day.
So that's where you are now today. How did you get there? What was your journey, both as a company and yourself, into Bitcoin?
Yeah, me myself, I discovered Bitcoin, and it took me a couple of times to really kind of get it. And I read the white paper, and I had my mind blown. I realized distributed consensus without a central authority was new, unique, and very interesting. And I went down the rabbit hole, and then later on found the Lightning Network white paper as well. I had my mind blown for a second time, and and so like I said before, really, it was kind of post-COVID, realizing how tyrannical the governments can get made me think more about joining forces, and I reached out to Bitcoiners in New Zealand. And like I say, I met my two co-founders, Brandon and Simon, at Bitcoin meetups that we have around New Zealand. And we were shooting the breeze, saying, it's not a lot going on around here. And that was it. It's like what's the saying? If you see something that needs doing, you're the one to do it, or something like that. I've butchered it probably, but that's what we did. So, yeah.
And so New Zealand is a relatively small country as well. So how large is the community that you guys are part of? And because obviously meeting three other guys as well, for a small country with a new emerging tech, that's actually there's a lot of things that had to happen there for you guys to connect. So what's it like in New Zealand?
Yeah, it's about sort of the landmass of the UK, but with kind of a tenth of the population almost, give or take. And there's obviously two large islands, the North Island and the South Island. And we're quite spread out. And so connecting with other Bitcoiners does require a bit of traveling. But I think we per capita, we punch above our weight in terms of Bitcoin adoption and usage. We're slowly starting to get there. But again, because of the population size, there just isn't that much happening with Bitcoin at the moment. But we've, using our merchant solution around New Zealand, we've managed to increase the amount of merchants accepting Bitcoin significantly. Certainly in the last since March this year, where we've had a concerted effort, and our Bitcoin ambassador, Nell, has launched the Bitcoin Basin Initiative, which is our Bitcoin circular economy, which is based in Queenstown. So we're looking to sort of accelerate and light the fire of Bitcoin adoption in Queenstown as a kind of a proof of concept to the rest of the country. We feel it's a good location to have it because of the amount of the beauty of the place and the amount of things to do there, and then the amount of people who come through. It just seems to be a good nexus for getting that Bitcoin adoption going and trying to get it into to be a circular economy as much as possible. So ideally, the merchants all, buying from each other, using each other as suppliers, employees accepting it as pay and that kind of thing. So really trying to keep the Bitcoin in the economy as much as possible.
Okay, so you mentioned about the high density of Bitcoiners or Bitcoin adoption within the country. What do you think that is?
I do think so. New Zealand has a very can-do attitude. So it's like they call it a number 8 wire mentality, but it's just like if something needs doing, they'll get it done kind of thing. And so there's some interesting innovations that come out of New Zealand. The jet boat is one, bungee jumping. It's that kind of just have a go mentality. And I think, I think that combined with sort of possibly the rural living and the fact that you do have to just make do because you often don't have all the conveniences of a sort of a more built up or populous area. But it's a good question. I do think we've got a passionate group of Bitcoiners in New Zealand, and so that's probably a lot to do with it as well.
So I kind of see why Bitcoin. Then why Lightning? What was the light bulb moment for that, or the lightning strike?
I think obviously the Lightning Network provides for that instantaneous confirmation, which you really need for sort of in-person payments. On-chain, it's funny when I use on-chain now, it's quite annoying. Okay, I can replace by fee and I can do that kind of thing, but it's like the price moves and the time it takes you to do a transaction. It's just not suited for retail payments. So the Lightning Network really enabled it. And I think at first, when I first tried it out, I bought some stickers from Blockstream. I think that was the only thing you could do with the Lightning Network back in the early days. But I think the fact that the technology has matured a lot, you can now process a lot more, a lot bigger transactions on the Lightning Network, and they're more likely to succeed because the network itself is maturing. Although there are some teething troubles, of course, with understanding the custody requirements and the problems of the Lightning Network as well, which is a lot of what Breez solves for. So that's why we love you guys so much.
Amazing, perfect segue. You're trained at this. So why Breez? So how did you end up finding out about Breez, about the SDK? Obviously, as CTO, I assume you're a bit more hands-on with it too. Would love to learn more about how you found it, your experience, and anything else you think is useful for other developers.
Yeah, we set off with the Greenlight implementation. Like I say, when our startup was still fresh and we were kind of we were still really looking for product market fit. And we had an idea of the problem we wanted to solve, which was to increase Bitcoin adoption in New Zealand, but we weren't quite sure how to go about it. And the Greenlight implementation worked great for someone who understands the trade-offs of opening channels and managing liquidity and this kind of thing. And I think it was just 2 weeks after your nodeless implementation was released, we were like, this looks interesting, because of course, without a node, you don't have those channel opening issues and liquidity problems. And so for new users, especially, they're just trying to get into Bitcoin, and you're trying to, they're like, what's a SAT? And you're like, here's a channel opening fee. And they're like, what's a channel opening fee? And so nodeless was actually ideal because, it's as good as you can get, I feel, without significant user experience trade-off. So that's what we like most about nodeless.
So you've kind of gone from the user perspective. What about the developer? For developers, like as an engineer, you're looking at this. Like, what did you find about the SDK? I don't know the quality of it, the flexibility. I don't want to put words in your mouth there, but I'm just saying like things that I've been told.
Honestly, it's great. I've worked with a lot of SDKs, and the Breez one, it's really well documented. It does what it says on the tin. All the error messages are really clear and concise. You know what's happening and what's gone wrong and why it's gone wrong if it goes wrong, and it rarely goes wrong. And so, yeah, to work, it's a developer's dream to work with. I really like the fact that there's just you almost the API that you want, you imagine, and that's just how Breez have done it. And so it's like, yeah, do I need to list my transactions? Of course, there's a list transactions. Does it have filtering? Of course, it has filtering. It's great. And your team there, anytime we've had a problem, your team's been brilliant. Ross has helped out heaps, and Roy stepped in as well. So I'm sorry, I don't know all the other developers, but I'm sure they've obviously been chipping away in the background. So it's great to work with.
Sounds as though you guys are pushing Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. Obviously, it's a fantastic store of value. That's been proven. We all know that. But as a medium of exchange, we're still working to really accelerate that. We know it's a fantastic medium of exchange. It has to be. And so what do you see the challenges in what you're building right now?
Yeah, I think for us, the important thing we need to do, because we're trying to foster adoption, so we're getting a lot of new people through the door. And new people, they're already being bombarded with a lot of information, and you want to avoid bombarding them with any more than is absolutely necessary. So they're coming in like, what's a SAT, and so you don't want to be talking about channel opens. And so what I like about Breez SDK and how it's helping us solve this problem is it's the power tool we can use to quickly enable us to get our users, when they come in, typically a support question is like, which wallet should we use? And before we were using the Breez SDK, it was like, we give them all the options and kind of the trade-offs and say, look, here's custodial, here's self-custodial, et cetera, et cetera. And so with Breez, what we can actually do is just get rid of that question altogether. We can curate the experience so that they arrive to us and go, I want to buy some Bitcoin. And we go, okay, great, install our wallet, and it's using Breez nodeless. And so when they buy the Bitcoin, it's immediately landing in their wallet. And so it's like we've eliminated so many kind of questions and problems there. Is what I see as one of the major benefits of using the Breez nodeless SDK.
That's amazing. And even now, as you continue to build, even as Lightning Pay, so it sounds as though education is one of the areas. And by education, I don't mean teaching someone. I mean just simply creating new habits, i.e., they understand how to use things. What other challenges on the ground adoption are you seeing for Lightning Pay at the moment?
Yeah, the challenge is it is primarily an education thing. Because of crypto, shiny bells and whistles, it's easily confused. The only other big provider of Bitcoin in New Zealand is can I swear? Maybe an altcoin exchange, let's call it. But and so what you don't really want to do is get, your mum is going, how do I buy Bitcoin? And what you don't want to do is go, oh, instead of on your way to buying, the world's most sound money ever, go into this casino and try and ignore all the bells and whistles and the emails that they push for you to buy, Dogecoin or whatever the hell is the current thing. And really, yeah. So really, that was another part of it, is just because they were the main representation for Bitcoin in New Zealand, but really they themselves, because they were running a casino, they don't have a concise message. The message is that we have a money problem, and this is the best money we've ever had. And that's what enables Lightning Pay is Bitcoin only, obviously, because the problem is the money, and we're here to fix the money. And so you can come to Lightning Pay and you can get some Bitcoin and you can send your friends here, and we're not going to try and sell them some shit, and we're not going to produce our own token. So it really is an education. Sorry, I've gone on a massive rant here, and I'll try and tie it back into the question, but really, it is education is a huge part of it, and just really trying to help people understand the significance of the fact that the money is so broken, and this is the solution. And that's a big part of it, definitely.
So the kind of final question that we ask is there's two things here. What do you see in the future, and what have you got coming up at Lightning Pay?
So we're working away on our app quite a lot. We've had a lot of compliance stuff to do, which has kind of held us back, unfortunately. But now we've kind of got over the hump of that, and we're getting stuck back into the app. We've got at the moment our platform is on web and it's on app, and most of the functionality is on the web, just because that's how we built it first. But like I say, because we were able to curate the experience on the app that much nicer, what we're going to do is focus a lot more on it, on building all our services into the app, and so that you have a really nice experience, and it's easy. You get in there, you can set up a weekly purchase, or you can pay some bills with Bitcoin, and then you just close it, and it's there for when you need it again. And so really working on that user experience is sort of the next big thing for us, making sure people can onboard in the app, because we don't have that at the moment. They have to go to the web to do that. And so, yeah, really kind of consolidating and making a nice user experience in the app is sort of the near term for Lightning Pay.
Dude, it's epic. Rob, this has been an epic conversation. Awesome with everything you are doing on the ground in New Zealand. And the amount of sats that are flowing around thanks to Lightning Pay are epic too. So congrats. And thank you for coming on. And for folks watching, we'll see you next time.
Peace. Awesome, Danny. Thanks for having me. Loved it.